Well, welcome everybody. Glad to have everybody here this evening. I think Mary wants to open up with a little bit of sharing our membership goals. So Mary, would you like to share that?
Yeah, I will. We're well into the Kiwanis year. We've 1 month down. And the good news is that we brought in just over 70 members in the month of October. Our goal for the year for new member adds is 1,000 members. Last year, we added around 700 members, 700 new members, but we still ended the year with a decline in membership. So we thought we'd set our goal a little bit higher as far as new member adds is concerned to 1,000 members. We know that 17% of our membership is going to leave. That's kind of a trend that we've seen for several years now. About 17% of our members leave. And some of that is things out of their control. People pass away. In my club just this year, we've lost 2 members. We had one pass away this morning, totally unexpected. People move and, careers take them to other parts of the country, of course, and family obligations take them away. So what we see is about 17% of our members leave. We've had a goal for several years now to grow the membership by 5%, and we have not been able to achieve that. And I think COVID has played a major role in that, but I'm hearing from a lot of clubs this year that we want to come out of this stronger than we have been. So that's encouraging. And there are 5 areas that we can think about as we're coming out of the pandemic. And one of those areas is, in fact, membership. So it is important that we make membership, the responsibility of membership, everybody's. Every member should be recruiting new members. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk a little bit later tonight about the 2 for 2 program, which is a program designed by Kiwanis International to encourage every member to bring someone new to Kiwanis. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And that went out last March, so everybody should have it already. If you don't have it, just Google Kiwanis 2 for 2, and you'll find everything you need to know about it there, including an opportunity to register for a drawing if your club is in fact participating in it. They're giving away $200 to the Kiwanis International store on the 20th of every month. In addition to our goal of adding 1,000 new members this year, doesn't mean we're going to end the year with 1,000, but we thought if we added 700 and had a decline last year, we should set a goal higher than that. So our goal is to add 100 new members. But another goal that we have is to change the number of clubs, increase the number of clubs that have reported a membership chairperson. So 1/3 of the clubs in the Carolinas last year reported that they have a membership chairperson. We assume that if they have a membership chairperson, that they also have a membership plan, a membership committee. And what we do know is that the growth, I think it was 87% of the growth in the Carolinas came through those clubs that have in fact reported a membership chairperson. So in 2023, listen carefully, in 2023, we want to change 1/3 of the clubs reporting a membership chairperson to 2/3 in 23. Y'all get that? Okay, 23, 2/3, okay. We would love to have every club with a membership chairperson, and we've been saying that for some time, and we haven't achieved it. So again, if we can take 1/3 to 2/3 and have active membership committees in those clubs pursuing membership, and when we talk about pursuing membership, we're not just talking about ads, we're also talking about engagement and retention. Those are important parts of expanding membership. The other thing that we want to do around membership in the Carolinas is I've committed to the Carolinas District to build 4 new clubs. We have achieved that already. One new club build in October in the Somerville area, and that club has named itself the Kiwanis of Berkeley County. Last account I had, there were 16 members. I'm not sure how many we have today, but we did get that one club built. We are building a club in Carolina Forest. So if you know someone who lives in the Carolina Forest area of Myrtle Beach, please call them and encourage them to join Kiwanis. We have started building a young professionals club in the Sandhills Club is sponsoring that in the Pinehurst area. And I just heard, that's right, Brian, I see you there. And just had a conversation last week with the Cape Fear Club, and they are also interested in a satellite club. And, you know, recruiting young professionals is one way for us to consider who's the succession plan. You know, who's going to run Kiwanis when all of us are too old to do it, or unable to do it, or unwilling to do it. And I really believe it is our young professionals. We've seen a lot of good things come from the Young Professionals Club here in Lumberton. Charlotte has been an amazing young professionals club. And we want to continue to see that trend around the Carolinas. One last thing that I'm going to share with you is that while we formed a membership committee that is no longer made up of 1 or 2 people, we had 15 people attend our first membership committee meeting, the district membership committee. And we're developing 2 subcommittees of the membership committee, one to focus on building new clubs and another to focus on club strengthening around membership. So growth, engagement, and retention. And while we've been preparing for training with that committee, we've been looking at a lot of data. And what we know is there are 2 corridors right down North Carolina into South Carolina where there are no clubs. There are no clubs, there are no SLPs, or there are SLPs with no supporting club. So one thing that I'm going to ask you to think about, 2 things I'm going to ask you to think about. If we're going to expand membership in the Carolinas, we need to grow our clubs. And we need to build more clubs. So while we're talking tonight, I'd love you to think of 2 people that you have not invited to Kiwanis yet. And by the time the evening is over, I'm going to ask you to send them a text message and tell them something about Kiwanis and invite them to come to a meeting with you. We did this at the board retreat with our trustees and waited to see if anybody got a response. And the first person that got a response, of course, I bought them lunch. And 2 people who were contacted at the retreat have now joined the Lake Norman Club. So that's how easy it is to expand membership in the Carolinas. So I'm glad you're here. If you are a membership chairperson, would you raise your hand? Awesome. Very good. And thank you for holding that important position. And I would encourage you to ensure that everybody is engaged, 2 or 3 members of your club on your committee, but every member engaged in membership. John, I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh, let us tell you, Governor-elect Donnie Ellis was supposed to be here for this training tonight. He had a family emergency around 5 o'clock and is probably in an emergency room right now. He may join us if he makes it back home. I don't anticipate that that's going to happen. But he did want me to let you all know that he didn't just skip out, that there really is an emergency. John?
Well, good evening, and I'm happy to pinch hit for Donnie. Mary, if you want to share the screen, we can begin the presentation, and that would be very helpful.
Okay, before we do that, there are a couple questions. We now have 139 clubs in the Carolinas. We had some clubs close that we did not expect would close right at the end of the year. That kind of gave us a big surprise.
So Donnie Ellis is the membership chair and I'm on the committee along with Mary and many other people in the district trustees. And it's important that you understand that what Mary said from the very beginning, the clubs that are showing the most growth are those that have chairpersons who actually make a commitment to making a focal point of having, just like you're going to have a committee for one of your fundraisers, just as though you're going to have a committee for finances, a committee for anything else that you do in your club, by having a chairperson who has to report what's going on and what they're sharing and what they're doing and what they're trying to do, is the essential point of being able to make this work. Want to go to the next slide for me, Mary?
Happy to.
Thank you. So membership's where it all begins, and membership is what it's all about. And without membership, nothing happens. Without a functioning membership committee, a club is probably doomed for failure. I remember probably around 3 or 4 years ago, when Greg McDonald was the governor, one of the most important things he said is that we had what we call you had a color scheme for all of the clubs that were probably going to be in trouble based upon the sizes of their clubs, or they were what we would call failing clubs. And unfortunately, in hindsight, he was correct. All of those clubs that weren't doing anything and just staying the course and happy to be running their own clubs in a normal basis without adding any members and felt comfortable within their own skins, they ended up folding. Because eventually, just as Mary said, you're going to have people are going to die. People are going to change jobs. People are going to leave. And in reality, it's almost just like sales. I mean, you got to go out and talk to 100 people to get a few sales. If anybody's ever been in sales, I mean, it works the same way. And then you're going to lose a customer. It's just inevitable. They change their hairstylist. They change their shopping habits. They just, there's something happens to them where they're no longer engaged in the club. You didn't get them involved. So it's very important that you have a chairperson. Next slide, please. So growth starts with a membership committee. With the membership committee, that's where the recruitment is. That's where the engagement is. That's where the retention is. That's where you're going to set your membership goals. And even though Mary has, she stated the goals in the beginning, those goals of your club should mirror what Carolinas District is looking for. You want to plan recruiting events. You want to have meet and greets. You want to have invites. You want to go to have a social where people are going to come and you're going to invite them at any different levels. It could be on Zoom. It could be in a club environment. It could be in your club. Sometimes they feel more comfortable going outside your club to start off with than going inside your club. We have a lot more success doing meet and greets on a nighttime adventure than we do on inviting them to come to the morning meetings or the lunchtime meetings or the dinner meetings. It's like a safe environment. You pick a spot, and that's where you begin to start recruiting people. And the other important key component is once you get them, you want to orientate them. You want to give them the information. You want to have training after you've brought them in. The education component of that is very important. I can tell you, we have a club chairperson at my club, and she does a fantastic job. Whenever we get a new member, she's scheduling up training. She's going to talk about, they've developed their own little packet where they're going to go through all of the things that our club does, what's in SLP, what kind of fundraisers do we have, what kind of opportunities are there for you in the club, what we need from you as a member. And it's very important because membership is everyone's responsibility. And I always say, if you don't ask, they don't come. And one of the things I always learned is you drive them there, they show up. They always come. There's no excuse. My car broke down. I had another meeting. I didn't wake up, or another commitment. But when you bring them, they come. The membership committee members, as a chairperson, the chairperson can be co-chairs, because our club has pretty much chairperson, but there's a co-chair goes along with it. And you should have about 2 to 3 members in there that are working on constantly meeting and discussing ideas, how they're going to go out and what are we going to do this year or this month to bring in new members. You know, you always want to consider asking a young professional to serve. I mean, I don't know, if you're like my club, the average, they say I'm one of the young ones, and I'm going to be 69, but I'm not young, okay? But on the other hand, when you bring someone in young, it's like, whoa, this is like amazing. Someone at 30s or 40s or whatever it is. And the easiest way to keep them is to have them bring somebody else in with them. They'll tend to stay. You know, a lot of our younger members come through corporate memberships. That's one way we get the younger people in, whether it's a big hospital or whether it's a big business, corporation that's in your community. And we don't have too many, where I'm from, we don't have too many big businesses in Pawleys Island, but we do have hospitals, and we go out and we recruit. You know, we try to get somebody on, you know, they always have somebody who's doing outreach within the community, and they're going to find somebody for you. That's what they do. And the committee should reflect the community. So you want to have whoever's on your committee, you want them to be a reflection of what your community looks like. And another way is we always want to participate in Kiwanis International and district challenges and incentives. You know, I know though they all come out and they want you to do this, but when you follow those templates, you tend to have success with them. If all of a sudden the governor says, okay, we want you to have this amount of growth per your club, and you shoot for that goal, you usually reach it. And the same thing will happen if all of a sudden you're going to look for, you know, when you do one of your analysis of your clubs and you look at the community, what kind of people are we missing? You know, sometimes you're looking for someone in the church, someone in education, someone who works in a hospital, someone's a lawyer, an accountant. I mean, we all know those people. And if you live in that community, you're probably doing business with them every day. You just don't ask them.
John, before we leave this slide,
Sure.
I do want to mention that it says participate in the Kiwanis International and District Challenges and Incentives. We have not published the new incentives yet because Leah wanted us to wait until after the November 15th deadline to submit for those awards for last year.
That's
so
right.
the club has not yet submitted for the distinguished clubs, distinguished awards for the Carolinas district.
Or the governor's challenge.
Yep, the deadline to do
governor's
so
challenge.
is November 15th. And after that deadline, you will receive all of the contests and incentives and recognitions for distinguished awards for this year. And I can tell you that each and every one of them has something in it relating to membership.
I mean, I can't imagine, you know, having a club, and if your major event is the pancake supper, and you don't have a chairperson and someone's not organizing that, it's probably going to be a flop. You know, it's not just a matter of who's in charge of it. It's gathering up the members and making it work. The same thing works with membership. You have to have a chairperson. They are going to do the work. If you know, and some people just, you know, some people are great recruiters. That's not me, but I still brought in new members last year, and it's hard. You know, I find myself more comfortable doing other things, fundraising or creating new opportunities for service in our community. But someone in your club is interested in that. You just have to find out who that is. Next, Mary. So just like everything else, you know, you have a long range plan. I think Kiwanis is very organized in giving you strategic plans. And whether you write them, do them, implement them, that's the key component sometimes that misses. You need to prepare an information packet for your new members. You need to encourage members' engagement. When they come in, you want them to feel welcome. You want them to know that you're happy that they're here. You want to, when you're talking, you want to, you know, have people introduce themselves to them. You don't want them to be like on an island by themselves. You want to be able to focus on intentional recruiting. And that's what I was talking about. You know, if your club has, you know, you don't have any real estate people, or you don't have somebody in banking, you know, you need to reach out and find someone that you can get in that area. And you're writing yourself a list. You're always writing a list of trying to find people. And that list is prospective members. And then you set a date, like a meet and greet, for an informative recruitment event. We'll never stop inviting people to come to meetings. That usually is always the way that you get some of your members. But we've gotten a lot of members for meets and greets. You know, we have a video presentation about what the club does and who's involved and all of the events that we do. And, you know, you might have, if you have 20, 25 people show up and you get 3 new members out of that, you might get 3, but 3 might become 3 more from those 3 new members because they know somebody else that might be interested in what's happening. Mm-hmm. And then you just have to make the ask. If you don't ask, they don't show. Nobody shows. I mean, my story is this. I remember I was, you know, back doing many things. I was, you know, coaching sports after school, involved with my family. And then when all of a sudden my last son went off to college, someone come over and said, geez, you know, you're all done with all of this now. You think you might be interested in joining Kiwanis? That's all it took. And I knew what Kiwanis was. I mean, they asked me, and that was all it was. Oh, sure, I'd be delighted to come. I had no qualms about it whatsoever. The scary part was when they want you to get involved. Not coming to the meetings initially. It's when they ask you to do something. But coming to the meeting in the beginning, it's just meeting with regular people. That's all it is. Just ask your friends, ask your coworkers, ask people that you do business with. That's all you have to do. Next slide, Mary, unless you have anything to add. And as I said, Kiwanis is really focusing on this because they know during this period of, I mean, I went to international and I went to the last 2 internationals, and they know that it's just not Kiwanis. All service clubs are dwindling. Doesn't make any difference whether it's Zonta, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, Lions Club. They're all looking for members. They're all looking for a piece of that pie. And so now Kiwanis wants to start off with an initiative this year and have an international growth campaign where it's let's talk 2 for 2. You grow your club month by month, person to person. And you task 2 members to invite 2 members each month. And, you know, like I said, sometimes you ask people and, you know, you think that this is the right person. They might not be the right person. The timing might not be right for them right now. It's like anything else. And then you report your position, your participation to enter a drawing. So we have a contest, or Kiwanis has a contest, and then you report that information and you're eligible for $200 in the store of Kiwanis.
Yeah. I want to add here that my club is in fact participating in the 2 for 2. We meet on a weekly basis. And each member is assigned a date to secure a program for our club. The week that they secured the program is the same week that we asked them to invite 2 people to come. They're more likely going to be at a meeting that they have secured the
guest speaker.
The guest speaker. So it's also a good time for them to invite someone to attend their meeting. But however you set it up, whatever works for your club, go for it. But we definitely want to have participation in the 2 for 2 as a way to identify new members.
Yeah, and I think those guest speakers are a great opportunity for you to ask them if they might be interested in engaging in your business. You get, or they, if they don't, if it's not them themselves, it might be somebody that's within their business. When they're talking to you, they say, "Oh, I think I have the right person for you," and then it just multiplies. And I always say, engaged members stay. The more you share an idea for a service project, I think that one of the things that was really important was when I went to, I'm trying to remember Fail was his name. And he was at the International Convention in Indianapolis. And he said to really tell you, like, you always get a nugget come out of a convention. And the nugget that I received was that sometimes new members have ideas and we steal the cheese. We take the air out of the room. We say, we tried that, that won't work. And when we do that, you've probably lost a member. So what's always best is when they're sharing an idea for a service project or a fundraiser, say, that's a great idea. Why don't you put some information together and you co-chair it and go with it? Because it's not a failure. It's a failure if you don't let them try. And what he said was, it's not a failure until it fails at least 3 times. Because some of those projects take time to build. And it's just like building new members. I think that I've seen members leave our club because someone said, nah, it's not going to work. You can't do that. But also give them a chance. Let them become involved. Yes, you're the chairperson of some special project. You probably could use some help, and don't be afraid to pass it off. I mean, I don't know how many ideas I've come up with in my club, and I can't wait to pass them off and let somebody else take the bull by the horns so that you can get a new member involved and get them to stay because they become active. And you also want to recognize members who sponsor new members. That's also important because that encourages the people that are already doing the work are going to continue to do more. And always celebrate club success. As I said, some clubs like to do mentorship programs for new members. And, I know that that's very successful, but I also know sometimes it's a matter of what they're interested in. So if all of a sudden someone comes in and they're interested in serving children and they want to do an SLP, you partner them up with the SLP person and you hope that they can meet together. And or if it's a literacy project that you do and you're reading to children, let them go. Never say no or let them fail. Let them do it, because the more people that do it, the more that they stay.
Yeah, I want to point out that it is important to engage our new members right away. And there are a couple of ways to do that. They're on the membership application. There are some boxes that they can check that shows what they're interested in. But the best way to do that is to hold an orientation where the new member has an opportunity to learn about your club, maybe the club history, service projects and fundraisers, a little bit about Carolinas District and Kiwanis International. And at that point, when you talk about your committees and service projects and fundraisers, it's a great time to say to them, let us know where you'd like to get plugged in. What interests you about the things that we've talked about? And do pair them up with someone who's going to follow up with them, check on them when they're not there. It's important that they know that they're missed.
So as Mary always knows all these numbers, the numbers that kind of just disappear in my head sometimes, but I know that the current number of clubs in Kiwanis International is 6,721. Is that international everywhere, Mary?
Yes, that's
okay.
Everywhere.
In the Carolinas, we have 136 in current membership. What?
Our numbers, when you look, if you see the membership report that Kiwanis International sends out, it will show more clubs than we actually have, because there's some things that those clubs need to do that to finalize their closing.
Sort of like the new clubs that are coming up right now.
Yes, and I see that we've changed this number to 136. I don't know where that came from. I believe we have 139. So I have to ask Donnie if he knows something I'm not aware of.
And the average number of members in a club is in the international, it's 25. And as you can see, Carolinas does a pretty good job at 32. But remember, some clubs skew that dramatically. You know, you're always going to have the outlier. You know, you'll have one of those clubs that has like 200 members, and they gain 50 and they lose 60. And so, you know, they're always gaining but always also losing. They're not going up to 400 and 500 and 600. The same thing with Polly's. Like the club that I'm in, we added, I don't know, I think we added like 12, 13 members last year. We only had a +2. And part of that's because people leave. Somebody leaves a job. We had like 3 deaths. So, you know, it's inevitable that no matter how hard you think you're working, you gotta reach for the sky rather than try to just get the +2 for the year, because guaranteed you're gonna lose more than that. It just happens. Anything else on this, Mary?
No, I think we're good.
So if you have any questions or comments, don't call me, call Doug. You can call me also. My information's not on there. But, you know, Donnie, who was supposed to be on tonight, Donnie Ellis is the governor-elect, and his email address is dwellis@earthlink.net, and his telephone number is 865-250-1441. And he's on the Kiwanis Club of Lake Norman, Division 7. But before we do any further, are there any questions? I think they're probably, I know they wrote, this says Dan Phil was, and Amplify also as facilitator. That's correct. He was really good. Any questions from anybody on the panel?
There is a question in the chat. Are there pre-made info packets or a file that can be printed? You can go to the Kiwanis International store and order these trifolds here. They come in a pack of 25, and for free, no charge, you can get these brochures that have the little tear off on the side there. And there are a number of invite cards there that you can use. But one thing that we've done in my club, and I wish I had it open so I could show it to you, is we created a one-page information sheet that tells a little bit of the history of our club, when it was chartered. One interesting thing about our club is we built a new club years ago. The original club built a new club years ago that met for breakfast and one met for lunch. And they considered the Breakfast Club the younger club. That was before we talked about Kiwanis Young Professionals. And as the members of that original club started to age, the two clubs merged and we became Kiwanis of Robeson Lumberton. Interesting piece of information that we share on our one-pager. And then we also mentioned that we have a Young Professionals Club. It lists, this one document, list some of our service projects, our fundraisers, and who our officers are. Just one page of information that we put together with a trifold of SLP information, and always include in that packet a new member application.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all you need.
One of the other things, I'm sorry, Mayor. One of the other things I think that the people miss out on a valuable resource is YouTube. I mean, YouTube has a lot of videos from Kiwanis that are just so professionally done, so well done, from just about everything that Kiwanis possibly does, from each SLP, what the mission statement is, they're all there. I mean, and they're very well done. I mean, if you ever have an opportunity, just go on, I know everybody uses YouTube nowadays. They have to figure out how to fix something on their computer or their phone, and they don't know what they're doing. And so how do I do this? Well, that information's out there for Kiwanis also. They have a lot of great videos. And you can go on the website itself, Kiwanis International, but I find it a lot quicker to go to YouTube itself and
Yeah,
then
that's really
type
helpful. Thanks, John. That's Yeah, really thank you. helpful.
So I think what John's alluding to is marketing. Marketing is important. If you have a social media page, activate it. Form a PR committee. Everything we do points back to membership. If you have a PR committee or an individual who's savvy with social media, ask them to follow a Kiwanis International page on Facebook called KI, PR, and Image. Steve had from the PR department at Kiwanis International posts things there that clubs can use. You just copy and paste that information right to your own Facebook page or Instagram or whatever you're using. Vimeo is a site where you can find Kiwanis videos that you can post, or YouTube, and you can find them simply by typing in Kiwanis video or Kiwanis Vimeo. There's a lot more information about the membership committee on the Kiwanis International page, website, and it's kind of difficult to navigate sometimes. So the easiest way to find that information is to Google Kiwanis Membership Committee, for instance, and there are lots of tools there that you can use. I wanted to go back for a second and mention that there's another document that Joe Crostick created while we were working on the Somerville Club, not Somerville, but Cane Bay, which is now Kiwanis of Berkeley, that's called What is Kiwanis? And that is definitely something that can be used. It's a two-sided document that explains a little bit more about what Kiwanis is, and that could be added to the packet. I don't think we've published it widely at this point, but if you're interested in it and you'll send an email, I'll make certain that you get it. You can email me or Donnie. His email is right there. And mine email address is kiwanismary@thestaffingalliance.com.
Mary, Catherine has her hand up.
Okay, Catherine?
Thank you, Brian. Early one of your slides was talking about orientation, or orienting our new members, and I think that's something that our club is constantly aware of, but we struggle with. And I'm wondering how often other clubs hold new member orientation. Is it scheduled?
I
Say
can tell you,
quarterly,
Catherine,
or
that is completely dependent upon the club. But I can tell you that sooner rather than later is better. If you bring in 4 or 5 new members, you should orientate them right away. And if you're only bringing in onesies and twosies, that orientation might look a little different than it would if you were doing an orientation with numerous people. It might be something over coffee, where you just flip through some information about your club. There is a orientation, Kiwanis has an orientation template if your club does not have one.
Yeah, and I can tell you that if you're bringing in new members, if you're bringing in new members and you're bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4 a month, once a month, that's part of your part of your regular process. It's just, that's the meeting after the meeting. You have your regular meeting, or you can schedule something. Usually our chairperson does it once a month. If we have new members in and it's 2 new members, then she schedules a meeting with them after the regular meeting to sit down and go over the orientation with them. If it's 4 or 5, she does the same thing. She'll have a little meeting after the meeting to go over it and schedules it, with the people that are actually coming. She, it's an invitation. We like to go over and then they respond, whether they can make it that month or they have to wait till the next month. It seems-
One thing that my club does is a quarterly orientation. Again, it's different for every club. My concern with doing it the way we do it is that there's that space of time where the member may not be engaged or informed. So we do have a mentor program. So there is someone that is following up with our new members. But again, sooner rather than later, I think is the most ideal. If you don't have an orientation, I strongly recommend that you seek out that orientation by Googling Kiwanis orientation template.
Yeah, it's great to have the orientation, but it's also more important to get the chairperson and a committee. It really is.
Yeah.
Without that, you're just probably going to be spinning wheels and not adding any members. You know, you have to make it a big initiative. If your initiative is you do big trucks, or your club has a major fundraiser and everybody gets on it, it's the same way. You have to really focus on increasing membership every day. And
I'd be interested in knowing, especially for those of you who are membership committee chairpersons, what your club is doing to identify new members. Anybody want to share?
We're just in the formulative stages of membership chair and co-chair. So we're just beginning. So this is very valuable for us. Thanks.
Cindy, what club are you in?
At Kernersville,
Oh, okay.
Kiwanis. Mhm.
I'm glad you're here. John mentioned intentional recruiting or targeted recruiting. There is a tool called the roster analysis. Roster analysis, just type in again, Google Kiwanis roster analysis. And you can use that tool. It lists all sorts of professions A to Z. And you can use that tool to assess the skill sets in your club. So you can identify the skill sets that are missing, and then maybe work with a chamber directory or some other tool or your membership to identify those skill sets so that you can target people who have the skill sets that you're missing. So if you're having difficulty, for instance, finding a treasurer, then maybe you need to look for someone who has some bookkeeping experience or finance or accounting, right?
And I think the other important thing is, I know that Mary said she did this at the district trustee meeting, but this has always been a tool in any kind of, we always look at our phones and we look at our contacts in Facebook and our friends or wherever it is. Those are all people that you could be asking to become members of Kiwanis. When you go through your phone book and, are these just people you talk to once in a while, or are they people that you talk to regularly? And if they are, who's the one you should reach out to? And I know she was talking about doing this tonight. Who's the contact in your phone list that you think you should say, hey, I've been thinking about you coming on and becoming a member of Kiwanis. Do you think you might be interested in joining me at a meeting? And that's all it really takes. I mean, I couldn't believe when Mary did this at the meeting and bam, 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 there were, members were automatically,
Right away.
Right away. Who are people who have been in Kiwanis forever. We're having people say, oh yeah, I'd be delighted to come.
We're all here because someone made the ask.
Yeah.
That's how it is in Kiwanis. Someone invites us to Kiwanis.
And you're still going to get a lot of no's. You are.
Yeah.
That's just part of the process.
But it is important that we continue to make the ask and encourage everyone in the club to make
Become bulletproof. You want to become bulletproof. You don't want to be afraid to ask somebody.
Are there any other questions about the role of the membership committee? One important thing to think about if your club does not have a membership committee or chairperson is who should serve. Who's an ideal person to serve as the membership chairperson? the membership chairperson should be someone who's personable, who's outgoing, who has leadership skills, someone who's well connected to the community and can rally the troops. And you want that person to be able to rally the troops because you want them to engage others to join the committee, but we also want them to engage the membership. So May is membership month, by the way. We typically have a membership contest in the month that starts in the month of May and goes through June and July. So something else to think about as you're planning. While you're thinking about service in your community, I'd love you to think about where there are gaps in service close by that you'd be willing to sponsor a new club. And I want to tell you that George Mamo is here. He is from one of our little baby clubs, North Myrtle Beach, Little River. It's about 3 years old, right, George? That club was built during a very difficult time in our country, in the middle of the world, really, in the middle of the pandemic. And the way we were able to build that club was pretty much through social media. George, I'd like you to talk a little bit about that and how social media was used to build your club and how we can continue to use social media even after the pandemic.
The North Myrtle Beach Little River Club was built entirely through Facebook. Golly, we had met online with Mike for months before we actually were able to sit down together. And because of that, we've made sure that Zoom continues to be a regular part of our meetings. We are always meeting in person and a Zoom option. And we use the same tool as we're building the Carolina Forest Club. Facebook identified 40 plus prospects, but from those prospects, we've culled out, actual real warm bodies. And now we're asking those folks to work their networks. But it's a great way to get started, and it continues to be a way to get people to say, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know there was a Kiwanis Club here. I didn't know there were those kind of needs here in Horry County, where 1 in 10, 1 in 5 kids doesn't know where his next meal's coming from.
That's right. And the other thing that's happened around marketing in the Myrtle Beach area is the North Myrtle Beach Little River Club and other clubs in that area have been able to get news coverage around the service that they're doing. One thing that they're doing is building and installing little food pantries. Is that the proper name of it? George may not have it right. Where this box is placed so that, and food is put in it so that families can take what they need to make ends meet, and others have an opportunity to place food there. Lots of good coverage around it. And they've also recruited a news reporter to Kiwanis, and she ensured that they got a lengthy story around service and around club building. And several people contacted Kiwanis clubs in that area wanting to join the club.
And I think what's important there, Mary, is North Myrtle Beach Little River is trying to build Carolina Forest, but we've actually gotten 3 new members because they saw the press and they saw what our local club was doing. Everybody wins when you build a new club.
That's right. That's right. And I will tell you that past Governor Gary Cooper was at a division council meeting in your area, and I received a very nice email about camaraderie among the clubs in that division. And I think it's something that has really improved out of service, the media coverage, and club building. It really has made a difference. And one other thing that I've seen happening in that area are the Field of Honors, and how the Field of Honor is bringing the community together and again giving a whole month of publicity to Kiwanis clubs. Everything we do points back to membership, service, fundraising. Invite someone to a service project, invite someone to a fundraiser. But before you do that, before you invite someone to one of those events, I would love you to send a text message tonight to 2 people and say something nice about Kiwanis, why you enjoy Kiwanis, and invite them to learn more about Kiwanis. And that's exactly how we're going to grow membership in the Carolinas. Okay. Anything else? John, anything? You're muted.
Great job, Mary.
Let me close by saying one important thing that we have not said tonight. We absolutely want to grow our clubs and we want to grow membership in the Carolinas district. And it's not because we want to have people to pay dues. I strongly believe that without Kiwanians, there is no Kiwanis Club and there's no SLPs. Our SLPs cannot be provided by any other organization. It's what we do. It's what Kiwanis does. So I want us to remember that Kiwanians are the hands and hearts of service. And that's why we want to bring in more people. Children need us today more than they ever had. We know that coming out of the pandemic, more children are suffering with mental health issues. Our literacy rates have dropped, and we know about the food insecurity that has always been an issue, but we know what's happening in the economy and how that's impacting nutrition for our children and food security. So we can change that. We can definitely make a big impression in those areas, but we need more hands and hearts of service to make it happen. Please help us achieve some of these goals that we're talking about. And when we're thinking about adding 1,000 new members, I think we could easily turn that into 1,200. You know, I think 1,000 is realistic, 1,200 is ambitious, but together we can make it happen. Hi, Lynn. Go ahead.
Hi, Mary. One thing that I have really liked and have used in my orientation and with membership a few years ago, and I don't have it right here in front of me, and I can't give you the date, but one of the Kiwanis International magazines, the cover was a dark gray, just a plain black dark gray, and across it, it said, "What if there were no Kiwanis?" So think about what Kiwanis does in your community, and what if you weren't there? These things wouldn't get done.
That's right. I can't wait to see you next month.
We're looking forward to it too.
I'm so excited.
And I know I can
John.
be kind of serious, but most importantly, make it fun. Make it fun for your club, make it fun for the members. Let them know that, you know, yeah, it's social, it's camaraderie, it's eating, but it's fun for what you're doing for the community. It really can be fun. I mean, there's nothing more playful and enjoyable in my life is when we're giving books away to children and you see the smiles on their faces and your heart gets full of joy knowing that you're doing something good for your community. It's just fun.
So every month we take a look at how many membership committees we have. That's part of what we do in the membership committee. So we'll be looking to see how many more we've added after this. If you don't have a membership committee in your club, please form one right away. And let's turn this trend of being a declining membership in the Carolinas the other direction.
Governor Mary, you got a comment in the chat.
Oh, let me look for it.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mary.
Oh, okay. May we get contact information for everyone present? Why don't we, if you have, we have 2 more minutes before our time is up. Why don't we go around and say, introduce yourself and tell us what club you're with, because that's an important thing. Go, Tracy. Tracy's left us or something. Brian?
Yes, I'm Brian Criswell, past president, Kiwanis Club at the Sand Hills.
Josephine?
I unmute myself. Hi, I'm Josephine Becca. I'm with the Kiwanis Club of Cape Fear at Fayetteville.
Raphael?
Raphael Carr, president for the Georgetown Kiwanis Club.
saw you a few days ago. And
I'm Ann Klein from the Kiwanis Club of Waynesville, trustee and co-chairman of the membership committee.
Cindy Stewart.
Mhm. Cindy Stewart with Kernersville Kiwanis Club and co-chair. So we're just getting started.
Awesome. Glad you are. Cindy Bryant.
Hi, everyone. Cindy Bryant here from North Brunswick, Kiwanis. I'm a member of the membership committee. We do have a group of 5 members now, and we're getting focused because we brought in 7 new members in September and October, and we're inducting another new member next week. So really our focus on the short term going forward is engagement and involvement of these new members. Right now, I see that for our club as a higher priority than bringing in more new members. We need to get these new members, get their mentors involved with them, and get them involved. So I wanted to share that, Mary. Thank you.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Rayshawn.
Hello, I'm Rashawn Lyons, and I am with Cape Fear Kiwanis.
Lynn.
Lynn Dees, Black Mountain.
Mika. Hi, Mika. We don't hear you. We can't hear you. How about I introduce you?
Show that she's muted.
No, she's not muted.
No, your volume's down. Mika, I'll introduce you if that's okay. Mika Ford is a brand new Kiwanian. She's a member of Kiwanis of Berkeley, our brand new club. So I'm really excited to see her here. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing Kiwanis. John Noto.
He's there. He's muted.
How's everybody doing? I'm from the Kiwanis Club of Hampstead. I'm a brand new member, and I'm also here with Richard Pasquantonio. He's also a brand new member.
What's Richard's last name?
Pasquantonio.
Well, we're thrilled that you're here, and thank you for joining Kiwanis. Excited to welcome you to the Kiwanis family. And I hope to see you in about 2 weeks at your DCM.
Great.
Yeah. Bobby Jones?
Come on for a second, because I think it's getting ready to.
Hello, I'm Bobby Jones with the Kiwanis Club of High Point. I am the president-elect and the membership chairman.
Awesome. And Peggy Donovan is with us also.
I'm a member of the Polyvalent Kiwanis Club.
Okay. And Joanne Lee? Tracy, I see you're here.
Yes, I made it back. Thank you. Tracy Miller. I'm in the Georgetown Club.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I did see that request, and I see a lot of stuff going on in the chat here. If you want to contact someone, the email addresses have now been added in the chat. And we can work on creating a list and getting that out as well. If someone asks for that. Okay.
I had 2 comments, if I may, while we still have a second. One is that mentorship somebody mentioned is really important. And I think there are several clubs out here who have created guidelines for mentors so that somebody is already teamed up with somebody else. It's another part of that 2 for 2 program, team up every new member with one of your older members so that they can learn the skills and the traditions of Kiwanis during their first year on board. It really makes a difference on who stays and who doesn't.
Good point. Good point.
Yep.
The other thing that I think would be important that is from old recruiting days, if you have a name of a person that you've reached out to who you think might be a good member, hopefully they're a friend of yours because friends are the best members, give that name to the membership committee chair because you can keep touching them. But if they get a touch from the club as well, that second touch might be the winning touch. That way you've got 2 or 3 people teaming up on one potential new member.
Sounds good.
Secondhand referrals are always good.
Lots
Takes
of
the
ideas.
pressure off.
Lots of good ideas. Okay, well, we've kept you for a solid hour. Thank you so much for being here. Feel free to contact Donnie or a member of the membership committee, John Chiesa, Jim Turnbull. And of course, I would love to hear your questions around membership. Oh, wait a minute. Here's some great news. Hold on. Gonna let you go in a second. Wait. You got to hear this. Josephine just posted that one of her friends responded to her text. Way to go, Josephine. That's the way we do it. Anyone else get a response or send a text? Okay, there's still time. A couple hours before bedtime. Send a text and invite someone to Kiwanis. Have a great evening.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Y'all have a
Thank you,
good night.
Mary. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See you soon.
See you soon, Mary.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah, Linda says she'll come next week. She has a hair appointment.